This star, whatever you want to call that right there, is this place that we're talking about in the Church of Nativity in Bethlehem. Underneath this is a grove, is a cave, that this is the tradition now in Christian Catholic thought, but it doesn't matter if you're Catholic, anybody who goes there goes to this place to celebrate the birth of Jesus, that this is the place where Constantine knocked down that idol of Tammuz that Hadrian put up, and he put Jesus up there instead. Basically what Constantine was saying, that we no longer call Tammuz or Adonis by those names, we call him Jesus. Okay? So when you go to the Church of Nativity today, whether you like it or not, you're giving adoration to the mythical place that Tammuz, the sun god, was born. And that's hard to swallow. Well, where was Yeshua born? I don't want to take too much time with this. I gave you another paper that says the birthplace of Messiah in Bethlehem. I've been privileged to really be on some scholarly work on this and working with an international author. And I'm 100% convinced that we know. Micah chapter 5 tells us that it's Bethlehem, Ephratah, but Micah 4 and 8 gives us a clue. In King James it says Tower of the Flock. In Hebrew it's Migdal Eder. It should be translated Migdal Eder. It's a place. It means Tower of the Flock, but when they translate it Tower of the Flock, we just think Tower of the Flock. It's a place name. The ancient rabbis, Brother Steve, before the time of Jesus, said that the Messiah would come forth from Migdal Eder. It's on the outskirts of Bethlehem. It's been trampled on because the Catholic tradition is what stands as the birthplace. But we do know from Scripture and from evidence that the birthplace of Yeshua was in this place called Migdal Eder. And it was in this place where the temple sacrifices were being raised in a circumference around Jerusalem, and that's where he was born, to be the sacrifice of God. You can read this on your own. It brings that out, but I don't want to digress into that. I can answer questions on it afterwards. How much time do I have?
8 minutes to 7.
Okay, 8 minutes to 7. All right, Adonis, let's go to the next one, which is Attis, page 7. Because I want to make sure I get this. Attis and Cybele, you can't really see it up here. It's up here in Asia Minor in the Roman Empire. And this is where this religion was taking place in the Roman Empire. And it goes way back. Basically, to summarize it, what happened was that Attis, the sun god, he was said to have died on a Friday at the time before Easter on March 23rd, when it was on a Sunday. There was a lot of, over time, things that it wasn't originally Sunday, March 25th, and then it was Sunday, but the combination of this with Sunday is pretty powerful to the pagan religions. And so he was said to have died originally on March 23rd, and it's called the Day of Blood, but get this. That day of his death was called Black Friday. Now, when this was incorporated into Roman Catholicism, it didn't really seem too appropriate to call it the crucifixion, the Day of Blood. They wanted to make it sound better, or Black Friday. So what do you think they called it? And that's where it comes from. It has nothing to do with Jesus' crucifixion. It's the crucified Son that we looked at. And then on the 25th, he was supposedly resurrected, and on that day, on Sunday, March 25th, as it later, when it appeared on a Sunday, and the combination of Sunday and March 25th, that they celebrate what was called Hilaria. It was a festival. It's called the Carnival, and they would wear masks and party and all this raunchy stuff. And even though it's kind of out of sequence of what's done today, this is the origin of Mardi Gras. It's a one-day thing. It's a one-day thing, and it was originally celebrated in the cult of Attis. Okay, you see how they picked and choose. Constantine did. He kind of molded all this together. And you can go on and on. These are for you to read through. And finally, in Mithra, by the time of Constantine, Mithraism was the dominant religion in the Roman Empire. And it was basically the cult of the sun worship. It culminated everything. It was the big thing that brought everything together. It was able to call everything under the banner of Christianity. And Mithra, he was born in a cave, December 25th, and so forth and so forth. But the other thing I want to bring out about Mithra is, I know we don't do it here, but the aspect of baptism by sprinkling. Well, the Catholics do that, and some places do that. Now, that comes straight out of Mithraism. Mithraism was the religion that baptized their adherents with sprinkling of water. Now they also, Mithraism, the leaders of the priests were called pater, which means father. And the head one was called pater of paters, father of fathers. Now you wonder where the priests of the Catholic Church, what are they called today? Okay, that's where it comes from. Okay, that's where it comes from. And not only that, these priests, these paters, would take a little wafer of bread and a cup of wine. I'm not telling you something that's not true. I wouldn't tell you that unless I had documentation on it. And when they gave it to their adherents, especially around the spring equinox, they would say that this is the body of Mithra and this is the blood of Mithra. It's a mimic and copying of something that's true, but it's taken out of the context. Why do you think we have communion today outside the Passover Seder? Why? We kept that from Roman Catholicism. Okay? We have this element, we take these, and there's truth in this, don't get me wrong. I know I'm really hurting your minds right now, but it comes from Mithraism, because Mithraism was married to Christianity, and Christianity was married. So did the church take paganism out of the Roman Empire, or did the Roman Empire take Yeshua out of biblical faith? And that's what we're faced at today. And that's why we have Hebraic roots. And then in kind of wrapping down in conclusion, you have a paper, it's in your pictures, number 6, it's called Pontifex Maximus. And does anybody know who has the title Pontifex Maximus today? The Pope. The Pope, his title, is that Latin? In Latin it means bridge builder. And you can look at this article, I got right off the internet here from Wikipedia, or whatever the encyclopedia is called. Sounds like a record thing. But anyway, what happened here is that in the Roman Empire, before the time of Jesus, before the time of Yeshua, according to this article, it's 254 BCE, that in the Roman empires, it started to, aspects of, even though it wasn't really an empire yet, they started to, in Rome they had this school of pontiffs, okay? And it basically was priests that represent the different pagan cults that were within that world at that time, and they were a school of pontiffs. And they had a high priest over that whole school of pontiffs, and he was called the Pontifex Maximus. And the name means bridge, and it was understood that he was the bridge between man and the gods, the pagan gods. Now, I think it was Augustus, Caesar Augustus, when he became emperor of the Roman Empire, he inherited this title, Pontifex Maximus, and from there on to Constantine a little bit after, the Roman emperor had the title of Pontifex Maximus. In other words, he was the high priest of all paganism in the Roman Empire. Okay? Now, it's fascinating because supposedly Constantine had a conversion. He saw a sign in the sky, and this gave him, and this sign conquer. By the way, I can't leave this alone. Your picture page 4. Supposedly that top picture is what Constantine saw in the sky with this sign, conquer with a sword, to kill in the name of Christianity. That's where all the killing comes from. And look below, you see Mithra with his celestial cross. Now, did anybody ever drive by this church right down here? What's the name of that church? Right down here, across the field.
The Lutheran Church?
I don't know what it's called. I drive by it when I come up here.
No, I know what you're talking about. I don't know.
Can anybody see the logo on the side of it? Take a look. Take a look. What do you?
I don't know what the name of it is. The Lutheran Church.
So take a look. Take a look up here. What do you see? That is the sword. That is the sign of Mithra on that church.